Welcome to SportStream. We're giving you 3 days of streaming all about sports, how to produce live sports, how to stream live sports. We're bringing you case studies, we're bringing you vendor spotlights, product roadmaps, and today we have a vendor spotlight on our good friends from Down Under, BirdDog. Dan, welcome aboard. How you doing?
Gary, thanks very much. I'm doing great. It's the other side of the day, but I'm so glad to be here. I've got my coffee, so hopefully I'm going to make some sense for you all.
Cool. Well, we're really excited because as people can see right here, and I'm going to hold it like this if I could because it's pretty cool. This is a new camera from BirdDog. This is the X1. And one of the things I really like about this camera is a little antenna on the back. This can work for Wi-Fi. When you're in a sporting event, sporting situation where maybe the room doesn't have the Ethernet where you want it, but it's got Wi-Fi coverage, which we're seeing in a lot of like basketball gymnasiums and, high schools and small colleges. You can set one of these up and get on the Wi-Fi network and actually bring it in via NDI. So cool. So talk to us a little bit about the new range of cameras, starting with the X1 and walk us through the Ultra, X5, and the Mackie. But think sports when you describe them, why they would be good for sports.
Thanks very much, Gary. So I think from our perspective here at BirdDog, we make our own cameras, we make our own production equipment, and it's really with the use case in mind. So sports is a perfect example of that, where our cameras don't necessarily look exactly the same as other ones because we have something in mind that we think people will be able to use these things for. In this new range that you've just spoken about, we've got a couple of cameras, and I'll actually give you a sneak peek about a brand new one as well, which includes Wi-Fi. Now, Wi-Fi is pretty commonplace for everything except for video production. And right now, it's kind of been seen as a bit of a taboo. Can you use Wi-Fi for live production? And we're here at BirdDog saying, yes, you can, with new generation products, with new generation technologies, like we put in these brand new ranges of products. Wi-Fi is one of the options you can do to make sure you can get the best shot possible. I think one of the cool things with sport is there's always something different you want to cover. You want to get a better angle. You want to get closer to the action. And when you're doing that in stadiums or in areas that haven't necessarily been purpose-built for this, having the flexibility of whatever type of connection or even no connection with Wi-Fi allows you to get the best shot and make that program look as good as possible. In terms of the range of products, we're all about making video production look like television, but for whatever budget you like. Our cameras start at a pretty reasonable price. They kind of enter right at that starting point for any robotic camera with the X1 Ultra, which is what Gary's just been showing you there. Then we move up the range. We've got cameras that support UHD or 4K, high frame rate as well. So if you're wanting to do slow motion to get that awesome shot that's just happened and do a replay. And I teased a little bit earlier, we've got this brand new camera. This is being announced this week. So you saw it here first. This one here is called the X4 Ultra. Nice. And this thing takes video from a great level to the next level. It's got a larger video sensor, so it's got better image quality. It's got full 4K 60, so high frame rate and really sharp pictures. And you'll see it's got these awesome new antennas on the back. It's got a double powered Wi-Fi 6 configuration, which means that effectively it's got a whole lot more range. So when you're putting it inside a stadium or using it out in the field, it's going to work that much more reliably.
So I want to so everyone knows this. The key thing is when you see the word Ultra in a BirdDog PTZ camera, that means it's 4K UHD, correct, Dan?
You got it right. We're pretty simple folks down here. We wanted to make it easy to understand. Product names, every brand's got a different one. There's numbers and letters and all the rest. If it's got Ultra, it's UHD.
And my big question is, does it also mean that they're all P60 also?
That's actually slightly different. No. So basically, if it's an Ultra, it's UHD. The only camera we've got that's UHD that's not high frame rate is that X1 Ultra, which is the one we just spoke about. That's our entry level, perfect for doing commentary coverage and things like that, where you've got you want beautiful pictures, but you don't necessarily need that high frame rate action. It can save you a bit of money with still having excellent quality pictures. If you want to have that high frame rate, silky smooth slow motion, that's when you move up to things like our X4 and X5 Ultras, which will give you that high frame rate. And obviously, we capture all that action.
Let's talk about that a little, because I think that's very interesting. You talked about how there's the sporting event itself, and for the sporting event, the action on the field, we want 4K, we want P60, we want UHD because we want to see the blades of grass. We want to see the sweat on the player. You know, one of my examples that I like to use is that before COVID, we were all talking about 4K UHD. COVID hit, and all we wanted to do was get HD productions that worked however we could.
Right? Yep.
So it all kind of fell apart. But this, and I was wondering, like, when is UHD going to come back? And then this past winter, or early winter, pro football, US football, you know, I'm flipping on the playoff game and it says, do you want to watch the game in 4K? So I say, okay, I flip it over. And for the first time, I could tell immediately it was 4K UHD. You can see the blades of grass, you know, popped. You can see the cuts on guys' arms. You know, you saw a different level of stuff. And one of the things I think is so important to talk to people about is that HD looks good. 4K is a sharper image. But HD, UHD to most people will look better than 4K. And 4K UHD is really where we can take everything to 11. That 4K, P60, UHD, that's really the right resolution for sports.
Totally. I think with sports, it is the perfect use case for both high resolution and high frame rates. And yeah, it is. We were talking about it just before we got onto this call, Gary. I think it's about a familiarity thing as well. If you're trying to make a video production for your sports, it needs to look and feel like a sports broadcast. And as people are getting more and more used to having, seeing the high quality, seeing those blades of grass, seeing the super slow-mo action, and seeing the sweat on the players and whatever else is in the detail of the shot. And that's what UHD at 60 frames is going to give you. So certainly doing sports coverage, that's one of the key things you want to look at.
But one of the things you talked about, and you guys were incredibly successful for it, you actually had cameras being used by a certain basketball league that I don't know if we're allowed to talk about, where that camera was being used basically to show the coach or to show the referee, you know, explaining what his call was. And I think, you know, that's where those X1 and the X1 Ultra still come into a sporting type event, because if you want to put that camera, let's say, on the announcers at a wrestling event, or where you want to have it be where it's just looking at the bench, or maybe it's looking at the penalty box in hockey or something like that. You know, that's a good way where you don't need that same kind of resolution and frame rate, which you just need is a good down and dirty camera that's going to get the person where they are. And you really need a PTZ camera because you can't get a cameraman between the coach and the basketball court. You know, that's crazy. But you certainly, the table where the timekeeper is, especially if it's high school or, you know, a small college, where you can put a camera on there and you can have it face the action when you want to. You can face the coach, you can face the referee when he's explaining a call. And I think that's a really cool workflow. So let's get the Ultra, the X5, the X4, the Mackie on the field or on the court.
Yep.
And let's get a X1 or an X1 Ultra on the interview box, the commentary, the talking head part of the sports production.
Totally. And I think, the great thing about, if you're looking at cameras in 2024, is we've got these little X1s, the one that you held up. It's a tiny little camera, but it is still UHD. It's still 4K.
Yeah.
And the great thing with that is you can put it in front of, like you were saying, the commentator, the announcer. And like I mentioned earlier, making a sports broadcast, no matter how what league you're in, is making something that feels familiar. And you want to have a product that people can watch and want to actually root for the team. They want to listen to what the commentators and announcers have got to say. So having these little cameras around, giving you the shots where people feel, effectively they're either, it's like they're at the stadium or it's better than at the stadium. By having these little cameras with these great shots. And the X1's perfect for getting those small shots where you can frame it up and not be intrusive to the game.
And Dan, the other thing you've done is you've gone to NDI-X3, which I think is real interesting, because in the beginning, HX had some latencies, which made it very difficult for sports. With HX3, they've really resolved that issue. And because it's HX, it's much lighter weight on the network. So it's really a great solution. So, and it also, I guess, that the Wi-Fi probably wouldn't be possible without the HX3, huh?
Yeah, totally. So we've reinvented our entire product line. We like to effectively say we're a BirdDog 2.0 with our products. We've had a lot of learnings along the way. You might have heard of NDI before. It seems to have taken off a little. With us, we were right at the very start. And it's a way of getting audio and video over a network very easily. And with NDI, it works great over regular computer networks if you've got a decent set of infrastructure. NDI-HX came along, and you'll see that around in a bunch of cameras. We've avoided it fairly much until now because we want to live up to these production standards. So BirdDog cameras have always been the highest quality and the lowest latencies at the fastest possible, which is perfect for sports because you
Yep.
can't have action that's a second behind the action. It confuses the hell out of people. So what we do with our cameras is make sure that they're actually giving you live pictures. So fast forward to 2024, these new cameras that we've got, we've taken NDI HX, and with HX3, which is the latest format from NDI, it's given us the tool set to apply kind of our BirdDog flavor to that, to make sure that we have that performance that we'd expect from any BirdDog product in terms of the speed and the quality. Now, the benefit of that is that now we're running with NDI HX, we're more network friendly for maybe less deliberate installations. And that's where things like Wi-Fi now really work well. We can run that with with a bunch of our cameras. You can run directly over Wi-Fi. But even apart from that, running on other networks, it doesn't fill up the network as quickly. So having a bunch of cameras, you don't have to be quite so, not necessarily concerned, you don't have to be quite so deliberate in planning your network when you're running with NDI HX3. But with BirdDog, we're all about making sure that above and beyond that HX3 certification, we're faster than that. We're as fast as live action needs to be. But we're also making sure the picture quality doesn't suffer as well. We're making sure that what you're getting is broadcastable quality pictures.
Now, Dan, a couple of times you dropped the phrase BirdDog 2.0. So I want to briefly expand on that a little bit. And that is in the past, you guys were designing a chip that was dropped into someone else's camera. This new camera line, you've designed every part of it, not just the NDI, but the actual mechanics, the optics, the form factor, the whole thing. And I think it's really giving you a much higher level quality control, and also you'd be able to design it for what you want it to work for, as opposed to what someone else's might have worked for. And that's why I think these are going to be so good for sports.
Yeah, totally. I think if you take a look around, there's a lot of cameras out there that look remarkably similar to each other, and that's it's the way a lot of industries work, where you have a reference design and then people put their logos on there and mess around with it from there. We've always been about going a little deeper than that. We actually make our own hardware and our own chips that process this video, and it's something we've done right from the start. But we took this opportunity, we got a little bored over the winter really, and decided that we'd make a whole new range of cameras. And with that, we've taken the opportunity to go literally from the ground up with these cameras. So we've been extremely deliberate in the design of the products, in terms of the shape, the way they look and feel, so they fit in with the kind of places they're going to be used, but also making sure that the performance and the reliability moves up a notch as well. There's a lot of learnings you get when you make cameras, and we've been doing it now for a number of years. So this BirdDog 2.0 really personifies that, where we've got these cameras that not only have really striking and new features that people haven't necessarily seen in a camera before, but they're designed to be reliable, easy to use, but also easy to deploy. They're very easy to set up. They're nice and small, they're unobtrusive, but they've got some great features that help you with your live production as well. So BirdDog 2.0 is all about making sure that we're moving things forward for people. We're not just trying to make another same product. We're trying to make a way that video production and sports production can be more convenient, can be better. You can cover more games, you can cover more people. And that's what our products do now with the next generation.
Cool. Now, one of the things that we want to do is we want to pivot a little bit to a new part of the product line. It's not a new product, it's an old product, and it's the BirdDog Play. But I think it's so cool because it's a affordable decoder. It means I can put television monitors in my stadium, gymnasium, locker room, coach's room, wherever I want it, because of NDI. So I don't want to steal the whole story. Explain how this works into sports and why it's so cool.
So Play is actually one of my favorite products. It is the smallest and the most easy kind of to understand product we have effectively up until now. Basically, it's like an Apple TV or a video set-top box. You plug it into your TV and it can receive or catch any of your video signals. That could be straight from a camera, it could be a commentary camera, or it could be a cut from your production system, from your switcher, so you can actually distribute that video around the building. They come in at an incredibly low price and they're really easy to manage. But what we've actually done with the Play, in its isolation, they've been by far and away the largest volume product we've ever sold. They just fit in so many places to put video on screens. But we're now looking at how you can use, and especially in sport, I think this is really interesting, how you can use these little boxes, because they've got a great amount of processing power in them, to enhance your video production. If you're doing a remote production, so let's say you've got an away game, but you still want to do some coverage, Right now, that's a bit of a head scratcher. You've heard of all these acronyms like SRT, and you've got cloud video production and REMI and all sorts of things like that. But the reality is that you go to do a remote production, you've still got to take a bunch of gear. You've got to take powerful computers with graphics cards and all sorts of other stuff. What we've built into play now is it's now cloud aware. So it'll catch all the video from your cameras at your local field or your remote field, and it can wrap them up and send them back to base. So if you've got a team of people that works every weekend or helps you out every weekend to do your sports production, they can do that remotely. And you don't need to go out there with a truckload of gear or even a caseload of gear. You take that little BirdDog Play and your cameras, and that basically becomes your remote gateway. It makes it so much more easy to manage, but also so much more cost effective to do these remote productions. So Play is a bit of a Swiss Army knife these days. You can use it in every screen around your building just to display the video that you've got in venue. It could be, like you say, anyone from coaches through to in the locker room, wherever you like. But you can also use it almost for the exact opposite reason, where you're taking everything that you've got in a remote location and it sucks it all up and sends it over the internet for you to produce that somewhere else as well. And that's all thanks to our BirdDog ecosystem, which includes not only the cameras, but also our cloud platform as well.
Now, of course, because we're live, I took things out of order. We already talked about HX3, but why don't we just bring this slide up full screen for a sec so people can see what I should have been on when we were talking about HX3, and maybe it'll remind you. But HX3 to me is the really best version of NDI there's ever been. You get the great low latency with the low overhead on the whole network. And I love the fact that you guys have kind of standardized on HX3 now. You know, at the time, full NDI, you were the guys who did it, and I think there was a good reason. But right now, I think HX3, because of how good it is, and because you guys are so good at leveraging NDI better than other people do, you figured out that anything that really needed to be done, you guys can do with HX3 as good or better.
Yeah, so I think for me, I'm actually on a bit more of a crusade than that. I think NDI is the party piece here. Yeah, the suffix is important. We need to make sure, with our cameras, we're HX3, and HX3 is really important to indicate that it's got the latency and the speed to where you can use it in live. And of course, we go over and beyond that in terms of the performance. But I'm really all about making it even easier. For people that don't want to get down and dirty and understand the differences between full NDI and HX, moving forward, I think that should be less and less of an issue for a video production. Right now, or up until now, it's felt like there's almost been two camps. You're either a full NDI camp or you're an HX camp. With HX3 and the ability that we have with a lot of our products now, that little converter box I mentioned earlier, the Play, it happily plays with both full NDI as well as HX3. And that should be the way the world works moving forward. Is we don't want it to be a tech fest to set up NDI. We want it to just work. And with HX3, you're getting the performance you expect, and you're getting the quality you expect. And with our products, it really shouldn't matter as you move forward, whether it's full or HX in terms of that overall setting up. But yeah, as you said, for us, we only just moved into HX3 because we're now confident we can deliver what you need and what we'd expect from a camera. It can be live and it can be high quality.
So BirdDog since the beginning has been the NDI guys. Your NDI full, your NDI HX3, it doesn't matter. You guys have been at it the longest of any camera company. You do a great job with it, and I love these new cameras. I think you've really done a new job, and I like the form factor. Just kudos to you and your engineering team. I really think you've knocked that out of the park.
Thank you very much, mate. It's been a whole lot of fun. What we love doing is making things that push things a little bit harder. We've always been kind of known for pushing the boundaries about what can be done. That's where we started from, and I think these new generation of cameras really show that that's going forward as well. One of the things that I did have in one of my slides here, and I don't know whether we skipped over it, is we're really focused moving forward on quality, and we mean that as far as the quality of the products and your experience with them, making them as easy as possible to use and just doing what you'd expect. Innovation is one of these things, coming up with great new ideas and talking about it, but delivering it. And that's what we're really living these days. Is we announce a product, we've now got a full range of products. We didn't do the typical thing of making a whole big press release and off we go. We actually announced them and started shipping them. They're real, and we've been working really hard to make sure that what we're delivering delivers for anyone that wants to use the products as well.
And you guys are delivering. And let's talk about still future technology, and that is you guys are also integrating AI into everything. So let's talk about that a little bit and how it can make your sports production even better.
Totally. I mean, you can't go anywhere without reading about AI, and AI is going to change the world. And frankly, it will change the world in so many different ways. And I think we're only just scratching the surface of it. I think if we were to release a range of cameras in 2024 that didn't have some kind of AI capabilities, it'd be a head scratcher. But for us, we're all about how we can push AI moving forward. So right now, we've got some great features where we've got auto tracking within our cameras. It'll pick a person, or you can pick a person, and then the camera has an affinity with them. It falls in love with that person and keeps following them around. It's great for if you've got a presenter or someone that likes to wander around on a stage. It'll follow that particular person, and it's a really great tool, almost like an autopilot for a camera. But much like what we've done in the past, we've been, I think, pretty famous for adding more and more features to our products as they move through their life cycle. So if you bought a camera from BirdDog 5 years ago, that same camera operates, looks and feels completely different now. And we see the same thing moving forward with AI. We're not here about just putting a little sprinkle of AI in there. We've got upgradable and expandable AI built into all of our cameras. And we see there's a whole lot of cool stuff to watch this space with, joining those cameras to be able to talk together, adding more and more features that enable productions to go, you said to 11, we want to go past that. We want to make these productions to be even higher quality. And as the cameras understand what's going on more around them, they're able to do more and more of that for you to help some of that heavy lifting to get higher quality productions. So in the video world, AI is all about helping you get a better quality production. And with all of our new cameras, it's built in. It allows you to make sure people are centered, that you've got great image quality, that the camera is actually behaving as you'd expect, so you can get on with telling the story of the show or of the game.
When it comes to sports, there's network level money, NFL level money, NBC level money, or TBS. The stations that do sports for a living. But SportStream is about doing sports for the local team, your local youth leagues, your local high school, community colleges, small schools, or even semi-pro leagues and things like that. And I think that's where I think some of that AI can really come in handy too, because it can make actually operating and using the gear easier and make it able to be produced with less people and less effort and more intuitive type stuff. So what kind of AI features are you looking at that'll make sports production easier besides tracking?
Yes, I think you're right. And in terms of a sports production, you want to make it, like I mentioned right at the start, as familiar as possible. There is a formula to making an engaging sports production. So having, whether that is for your local team or whether it is for the tier ones, you want it to look and feel like that. So people want to be engaged. They want to watch the game. Where AI really helps is helping you get those shots so they're lined up. So help you get the camera to move into the location as we move forward, helping you make sure all those cameras look the same. You want to make sure, it doesn't matter whether you're looking at the camera from one end of the field or the other, the grass needs to be the same green. Helping out with those kind of features is where AI really can help out in a production. In a broadcast level production or in a tier one, you've got a team of people. There's a guy that looks after the colors for the grass, and there's someone that looks after controlling a camera, not 4 cameras. So when we're working in a production where you don't have that amount of people, having AI as your sidekick actually really helps make that look and feel much more at the same level. And for me, it's all about the more you can make it look and feel familiar and like a live production that you've seen on TV, the more people are going to watch it, the more people are going to tune in every week to watch a game.
Absolutely. I think everyone thinks of you guys as hardware guys, but in that whole look and feel thing, you guys are pretty good software guys too. And you developed a suite of software tools. And what I really like is you really pay attention to the GUI. They all, if you learn one, you can operate them all. They all feel and act the same. And kudos on that. I know that's not something that was necessarily easy. It was thoughtful and purposeful to get there. And kudos on that. But talk about the Bird UI a little bit.
Yeah. So again, there's a lot of cameras that get really nerdy really quickly, and they can be from the biggest companies out there. If you don't have a manual and sit there for 3 days reading it, you're not going to get the best out of it. And my background and the company's background is all about using these things and making them as purposefully easy to operate. So one of the big things, as you picked up, Gary, is that our cameras and our products, whether it's software, cameras, converters, even our cloud system, all looks and feels the same. Once you learn how to use a BirdDog product, you know how to use them all. And we think that's really important because, especially in a smaller production where you've got less people, if you know how to work a camera, but then for some reason someone asks you to help out on some other part of the production, you innately know how to use it. And that's really important for everything that we have in terms of the control and everything. but not only about having the same language across all the products. It's got to be easy and look nice as well. Just because we've got a camera doesn't mean it needs to be nerdy. We want it to look great. We want you to want to use it. So the interfaces are they're clean, they're easy to understand. The controls in there show you what is actually happening in the camera. So you get a really great look and feel of what's going on. We want them to be as predictable as possible, so you can actually get down and use these things as quickly as possible. So it's very deliberate, and we're all about making a solution. And that's one of the things that we think is different about BirdDog is we don't just make cameras, as you mentioned. We don't just make converters. We don't just make software. We actually make a solution, and that makes it a whole lot easier for you to use because if you buy one of our cameras or if you deploy one of our Play decoders or if you use our cloud system, everything is designed and hooks in and works together. You're not the one that's kind of trailblazing to set it up. And so for us, that's really important, making sure everything is approachable, easy to use, looks nice, but actually works really great together.
And then let's talk about your iOS app. Now, I know it'll work on an iPhone or an iPad. Now, for me to run PTZ cameras with these eyes at this age on an iPhone, not so easy. But on the tablet, I love that because you can hand a tablet to anyone. So this is really great if you've got, an educational thing. You can hand one of the students a tablet, and they can get to all the controls of every camera. So talk about that a little bit because I think it's just well done.
Yeah, so I've got it on my phone. My tablet's somewhere else, but it's just loading up now. The app that we've got is actually super cool. I'm just going to connect to my camera so you can see that it's there. It should pop up in just a moment. There we are. So there's me. You can control everything in the camera from your phone over Wi-Fi. So if you wanted to just readjust the framing, you can just go, oh, hang on, the guy's shifted to the left. Someone can just get on their phone or their iPad and just adjust that framing. Being an iOS or a touchscreen device, you can actually just drag around and you can move the camera just by dragging your finger around. You can adjust the zoom, you can adjust the focus, but importantly, you can also adjust everything else. So all the colors and all the other control of the camera. But again, it's in a really approachable, great to use UI. We've actually got a great new update that's coming out probably about the time we get to IBC, which is this week. A show over in Amsterdam, which gives us some new features like some overlays, so you can make sure that you've got the shot centered and some greater control as well. But this iOS app, especially as you mentioned in an iPad, is great because you can have someone just sitting off to the side that can control those cameras, but also you can have someone that can jump in and help you out in case of something happening, like someone moving or the wind moves something around and you need to just put that out of shot. You don't have to open up some specific tool that's only available on one computer.
So one of the things I like to talk about is we call this show SportStream, but when you think about sports, especially with high school or college sports, you have three elements to sports. Number one is you're producing the sports show for people to watch and to stream it. Number two is that same technology can be used for your coaches to let them coach and, review with players, review games, review strategies, test plays, whatever, during practices or during games. And the third thing is it can allow the students to produce the show. And that's what's so cool about this iPad app. Any student who gets in front of their iPad, can now be, you're the PTZ guy today for today's show. So it's fun. It's kind of sticky because it's on a cool technology and a GUI. And it's, I'm old school. I like buttons and joysticks. But kids today, they'd much rather touch a screen. So just a good job. Very cool on that. And let's talk about, what's going on at the next level.
Yeah, cool. So I think you've totally got that right in terms of there's a whole bunch of disciplines that really benefit from doing sports production, and performance management is one of those things that shouldn't be lost. I think on when you're doing your sports broadcasting is you want to save all of those images so that you can look at them later and see how the plays worked or pull them apart from a coach level. In terms of what's next, again, as I mentioned, we've got a whole new generation of products. It's pretty unusual for a company in 1 year to just replace everything with a brand new set of products with new technology, and really give you a whole new view into the future. But that's what we've done. So 2024 is in every respect BirdDog 2.0, and with the products, the new stuff we've got here, smooth movements on air. I think this is an important one. Differentiating between a local production and a broadcast production is all about the production quality. So we spent a lot of time in these next generation products, making sure that our robotic control, having a PTZ camera move around looking like it's a robot, makes it look obvious that it's not made at the same level as a sports broadcast that you might see on ESPN. having much higher quality motors, having better control over how those movements accelerate and smooth down. It's all actually quite technical underneath it, but it makes it look a whole lot more natural. So one of the big things we've been focusing on is around the movement of these robotic cameras, the PTZ cameras. And we think that's an area where a lot of improvement could have been done, and that's what we've done. In terms of image quality, again, benefit of every 12 months or 18 months, things get better. And so having the latest quality sensors, the image quality that we're getting out of it, the processing, we all know that you get a new iPhone, the pictures look better on the cameras. Yeah, it changes every year. There's a lot of stuff that accelerates. And in our product line, all of our new cameras have got the latest high quality sensors. So you're going to get the best detail in terms of the shadows and the highlights and the grass details and all those things that make that image look super sharp and super great. Of course, we mentioned about Wi-Fi as well. That's actually something that's we're really quite we're fixed on, and we think there's a future here with Wi-Fi production. Are you going to have every camera running over Wi-Fi? Probably not. But it's going to get you those shots that were going to be hard to do otherwise. If you've got a production where you want to get a camera down the other end of the goal line and for some reason there's no network connection, just put it over there. With our latest camera, the X4, it's got a battery built in as well. So you literally just turn it on, put it on a tripod and connect to it. So this kind of next level thinking is all about how you can use these things, how to make it look next level, how to make the movements feel next level. And so from our point of view, we're all about just taking things up a notch.
I think you did reach the next level. You're delivering the critical things that I think we need for sports, which is 4K, P60 UHD. You've got smoother movements, smoother motions on your the cameras. You've done a great job on just a whole new product line that's designed and built by BirdDog from the ground up and all that good stuff. And I just got to say, kudos. I don't think this is, BirdDog 2.0 is here. It's not forward thinking, you're here. Your cameras are great for sports. NDI HX3, I think you pushed the technology. If we had more time, we could go into some of your cloud stuff, but I think we'll save that for a whole nother show for the BirdDog Cloud. And I just want to tell you, Dan was coming in via Teams on the internet. He's down in Australia.
Thanks very much, Gary. The trials and tribulations of living on the other side of the planet, that little bit of wet string that joins us together sometimes gets a bit funky. But thanks very much. From my point of view, I think sports broadcasting is one of the most exciting areas where we can all make a big difference. The acceleration or the rate at which we're able to bring the quality of that production up is really, it's something to be seen recently. And I think, from us here at BirdDog, we think that's one of the bigger areas that we're focusing on and the bigger areas where people can get the benefits. So with our latest products, I've mentioned a lot about our cameras, but also just in general about the solutions that we have. If you're wanting to make people want to watch your production, it's all about that production value and the picture quality. So thanks very much for listening to me, Gary, all the team. Thank you so much for the opportunity here. It's been an awesome day, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you. SportStream, September 10th through 12th. We're number one. High five.